Developing right now on Morning News Now, housebound on Capitol Hill. Today, Congress set to vote on a funding bill to end the record-long federal shutdown. Meanwhile, frustration growing after the FAA ordered the cancellation of more than 1,200 more flights at dozens of the country's busiest airports. Now, federal officials warning it'll only get worse if a funding bill isn't passed.
I will never travel again. If I travel again, I will drive.
Big disruption thus far, massively more disruption as we come into the weekend if the government doesn't open. So the House has to do its work.
And just hours before today's House vote, a Democratic Congresswoman-elect set to be sworn in nearly 2 months after winning Arizona's special election. We'll bring you the latest. And parts of the country digging out after an early winter storm swept across several states, with millions of people still under freeze alerts this morning. We're tracking the conditions. Plus, doctors' orders, more cancer patients now getting prescriptions for popular weight loss drugs. We will break down the benefits and the risks. And practical or problematic, mixed reaction to President Trump's 50-year mortgage plan meant to make owning a home more affordable. We will unpack the proposal, including what it could mean for buyers and for sellers. Certainly a talker, as that median age has gone up to 40 to buy a first home.
That's a lot of interest, 50 years there. All right, good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin this morning with members of the House gearing up to vote later today on a bill to finally end the record-breaking 43-day-long government shutdown.
The bill already cleared the Senate. If it passes in the House later today, it'll keep most federal agencies funded through the end of January. That means President Trump could sign it into law later tonight, which would reopen the government. But it's not a light switch. It's unclear just how quickly air travel would get back to full capacity or when those SNAP recipients will get all of their food assistance for November. NBC's Alice Barr joins us from Washington with the very latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. Yeah, it's going to take some time to unwind from all the snarled consequences of this government shutdown. And there is still a fight ahead. In a late-night Rules Committee meeting, the top Democrat in the House tried to get an amendment to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies for 3 years. Republicans blocked it, many arguing that program at the center of this fight doesn't work. On what could be the final day of the nation's longest government shutdown, House members are racing back to Washington to cast a critical vote on the Senate-passed short-term funding bill.
Welcome back from your taxpayer-funded 7-week vacation.
Democratic leadership slamming the House Speaker's move to keep members out of session while the shutdown dragged on, as Republicans pin the pain on Democrats.
For 42 days and counting, Democrats have held the country hostage.
House Democrats set to vote against the deal a breakaway group of Senate moderates agreed to, angered that it does nothing to address the central sticking point of lowering health care costs and extending Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Health care costs are still poised to double or even triple for some folks practically overnight.
With a newly elected Democrat being sworn in today, House Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes. It is expected to pass and secure President Trump's signature.
We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed.
Relief can't come soon enough for the nation's airports, where flight delays and cancellations are growing.
It has to be the shutdown. What else could it be? This has never happened to me before.
The Transportation Secretary warning the situation, driven by staffing shortages, will get much worse if the shutdown stretches into the weekend.
If this doesn't open, you might have airlines that say, we're gonna ground our planes.
A lot on the line in the final push to get the government back in business. So even in the best case scenario that the funding bill passes, President Trump signs it tonight again, there is no on-off switch. Airlines say they will not be able to bounce back to full capacity right away. Also expecting delays for the 40 million plus Americans waiting for full SNAP food assistance benefits.
And Alice, what about federal worker back pay, especially for the air traffic controllers who've been working without getting paid and are key to getting that air travel back on track?
Yep, and another important piece here. There's a 2019 law that says federal workers who miss paychecks in a shutdown have to be paid back at the earliest date possible after it ends, regardless of when their pay dates are supposed to be. But here on Air Traffic Controllers, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says that they should receive 70% of their back pay within 48 hours of the shutdown ending, but the other 30% won't come for another week. Guys.
All right. Alice Barr, thank you so much.
Well, as members of the House sprint back to Washington, Speaker Mike Johnson says his first order of business is to finally swear in Democratic Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva 7 weeks after she won Arizona's special election. Now, Grijalva is set to take the oath of office this afternoon at the Capitol, just before the House takes up that vote to reopen the government.
This will bring an end to a nearly 50-day battle. During the shutdown, Democrats called on Johnson to perform the ceremony. Some, including Grijalva, accused Johnson of dragging his feet, knowing that she would sign a petition to trigger a vote related to releasing the Epstein files. Johnson maintained he simply could not swear in the Congresswoman-elect while the House was out of session. In an interview last night, Grijalva dismissed that justification.
This is unprecedented. It's undemocratic, it's unconstitutional, it's illegal. No member-elect should ever be in this situation again, where 813,000 people are silenced because one person wants to play politics with, their swearing in.
For more, let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, good morning. So before we get to Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, I do want to get your sense just on something Alice just touched on, which is the fact that House Republicans can only afford 2 defections on this bill to reopen the government. Is there any chance that it doesn't pass?
Look, there's always a chance, especially in the times that we live with Capitol Hill and the House particularly, because of those the 2-vote margin that Speaker Johnson has. But I do think it's good news that last night, very late last night at 1 in the morning, the Rules Committee, which is kind of the first step on the train tracks to getting this bill passed, they passed this bill on a party line vote. So all Republicans on that panel did push it through. So that's good news for Speaker Johnson. The vote can go very late into the night tonight. I think the biggest wild card here is actually if members can travel back in time. They're spending all day trying to battle these flight delays. One member, Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin, is actually taking his motorcycle across the country. But speaking of those defections, Democrats are not going to help Republicans out. Their leadership is already urging them to vote against this bill. You'll remember that many Democrats wanted to stay in this fight over the ACA, the Affordable Tax Credit, CARE Act tax credits that are expiring at the end of this year. And so you do have about 3 to 4 members that we're watching very closely on the Republican side of the aisle.
Let's talk about Representative-elect Grijalva now. Walk us through why she is seen as this key to potentially unlocking more transparency around the Epstein files and how quickly things could start when it comes with that.
Well, very simply, guys, because she will be vote number 218 on the discharge petition. It's a bipartisan effort from Thomas Massie, who happens to be one of the Republicans that we're watching very closely, to vote against this government funding bill to reopen the government. It's his effort with Congressman Ro Khanna, Democrat from California. They've been pushing this for months to try and force the Trump administration's hand on releasing all of these Epstein files. There's a parallel investigation happening in a Republican-led committee in the House, but that's just not enough for so many members, for so much of the Republican base, and certainly for Democrats who are eager to continue making this an issue. So when Rep-elect, when she will be sworn in today, Adelita Grijalva, she will be the key 218 vote. She will force Speaker Johnson's hand. It will take at least 7 legislative days, and then Speaker Johnson has an additional 2 to put it on the floor, but he's required to do it. So get ready for a fight sometime in December over these files. If the House passes it, the Department of Justice has to release all of the files pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein.
Julie, she said that she actually plans to confront Speaker Johnson about the delay that she faced. Just how unprecedented was this, and how has the Speaker defended his actions here?
It's completely unprecedented. Speaker Johnson has said earlier in this shutdown that he's doing it because the government is out of session, so maybe to put some pressure on Democrats to put up the votes and reopen it. He thought that was going to work. Clearly, Democrats didn't buy it. And then he also noted something that happened earlier where a congresswoman, he called it a Pelosi president, wasn't sworn in for about a month. That was for different reasons. Speaker Johnson clearly surpassing that since it's been 7 weeks. So this is a new record that he's set now by not swearing in the congresswoman-elect. She was elected, by the way, back in September on the 23rd to fill the seat of her late father, who passed away in that Arizona district. Speaker Johnson, for his part, once again pushing back, saying this has nothing to do with delaying that vote on the Jeffrey Epstein files, though all of his critics, including Grijalva and Democrats, want to make it about that. He's saying, of course, that he's going to swear her in today, hours before the vote. It's going to happen around 4 p.m. today, but still setting a new precedent. Grijalva saying she plans to confront him, as she has before during this process, because she couldn't represent so many of her constituents who needed it during this time.
All right, Julie Sirkin, thank you so much.
Amid the ongoing immigration crackdown, President Trump is defending the H-1B visa program, which brings in highly skilled workers from other countries. In an interview on Fox News, he argued foreign labor is needed at times because U.S. workers don't have, quote, certain talents.
The H-1B program allows U.S. companies to sponsor non-immigrant visas to temporarily employ foreign workers in specialty fields like in engineering and in healthcare.
NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now with more on this. Peter, good morning. So it was just back in September, not that long ago, when President Trump signed a proclamation raising the fee that companies have to pay to obtain those H-1B workers' visas, upping that fee to $100,000. This visa program was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush back in 1990. So walk us through Mr. Trump's comments and why they're getting so much attention.
Well, this conversation took place on Fox News, and the president was asked whether he would prioritize this administration view as it relates to costly visas here to help bring in foreign talent for a variety of industries. Specifically, he said you got to bring in that talent, and the president has indicated specifically in the fields of auto and artificial intelligence that it is crucial that there is more talent brought here to the United States. He suggested in the interview that some Americans, his words, might not be best prepared for various phases of production. Here's part of that exchange between the president and the Fox News host. Take a listen.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
As you heard the president there, obviously making the case that the U.S. needs to bring in additional talent from overseas. And this was notable for a variety of reasons. You could see the pushback from the Fox News host there, because the president's comments sort of acknowledged this disconnect that may exist between different sides of the Republican Party, different sides of this discord nationwide right now. The president has pushed back on the idea of immigrants in the United States. You know, law enforcement, DHS, and others have, in the views of many, made life much more difficult for immigrants in this country, even those who have arrived here legally, with the crackdowns led by the president and his Homeland Security team nationwide. Joe and Savannah.
Peter, we've got a lot of news we want to get to this morning. Another question out of the White House. The Trump administration, when they've had this whole effort, I'm sure our viewers remember, to remake the federal government, a consistent target here for cuts has been the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, now in a court filing, the administration is declaring funding for that bureau illegal. That's ultimately barring the agency from seeking additional money from the Federal Reserve. It was just last year when the Supreme Court actually upheld the bureau's funding. Why is this a significant move? Why is there still back and forth here?
Well, it's a big deal because this does sort of set the course for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to, in effect, cease to exist within the next matter of months. They say that they have basically only a few months worth of funding right now that might get them into early 2026. This is the most direct effort yet to just try to dismantle this consumer watchdog group, sets up this new front in the ongoing legal battle over its future right now. In its filing, the CFPB said, again, as I noted, that they think they would be able to go through early next year before exhausting the currently available funds in early 2026. But what's notable here in the impact on Americans is that this move would leave the CFPB without money to operate beginning next year, even to carry out its required activities, unless Congress passes fresh funding for the agency that is unlikely, of course, given widespread Republican opposition to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Joe and Savannah.
Peter, one more thing here. The Department of Homeland Security is taking a victory lap of sorts, stating the city of Chicago had the safest summer since at least 1965. It was just last month when President Trump called Chicago a war zone. Homeland Security ties the lower crime rate to the arrival of those immigration agents. The mayor of Chicago saying not so fast. What's going on here?
Yeah, so this is an interesting back and forth, and as you see, our digital team did a really good fact check on this to sort of break it all down for you. As you said, the president had mocked the local officials in Chicago just last month, saying it was a war zone after the president, basically had touted the fact, after Chicago had touted the fact that there had been a drop in crime that had made it the safest summer the city had seen since 1965. Now the administration is trying to take credit for this. We heard from the Department of Homeland Security just yesterday, an official there citing a drop in crime in Chicago when asked for comments about the status of that city right now. And then we heard from the mayor, who he said crime is significantly down, but he said that the DHS, the federal government, has nothing to do with it. What is notable here is that in August, the month before the federal effort, what was called Operation Midway Blitz, began taking place, those are the numbers we're referring to. Again, before the federal authorities arrived there, homicides were down 24%, shootings down 24% as well, robberies down 41%, car thefts down 28% as well. So this does show a real tension right now, as the president, again, just yesterday, Joe and Savannah, was making the argument that troops, need to go into Chicago to help crack down on a situation that is evidenced by these numbers before they even arrived. We're already dropping by double digits.
All right. Peter Alexander. Peter, thank you so much.
Well, staying with the immigration crackdown, ICE is weighing using new AI technology that helps with language translation. Local police officers are already using it to translate conversations while on the job. This comes as ICE training leaders say they've canceled a 5-week Spanish language course to speed up the hiring process for agents. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley got an inside look. Julia, good morning.
Hey, so this was really cool, Savannah. I got to go out with police in Joliet, who say it's making a big difference in their community there. Now, this is something that I said they would start using when they canceled that 5 weeks of required Spanish class in order to boost up hiring. Remember, they want to hire 10,000 new officers by the end of this year. But what we found is that police are actually adopting this new technology much more readily than ICE is. Take a listen.
New translation technology out on the beat. Joliet, Illinois police using the latest AI tech, allowing officers to translate conversations on their body cameras.
Seeing people, when they know that they're understood, you see their faces light up.
Since June, police here have translated over 23 different languages in 1,800 conversations, all with this device made by Axon. This body cam footage showing officers using it to get critical information in Vietnamese to solve a missing persons case.
You said the last time you saw your daughter was last Thursday, right?
We stopped by a store to test it out.
What do you sell here in your store?
It translates my question to Ivan.
Nosotros vendemos productos colombianos.
And his answer.
We sell Colombian products.
Okay, Colombian products. Very cool. Here in Joliet, where the population is nearly 35% Hispanic, officers here say they don't know how they did their jobs before they had this device.
The remarkable device could help federal law enforcement, too. ICE eyeing this AI technology to help officers in cities like nearby Chicago and around the country, after leaders at ICE's training academy say they canceled a 5-week Spanish class in an effort to speed up hiring.
It looks like we cut out 5 weeks, but we didn't really, because we replaced it with something else in the field that is actually so much more efficient.
But DHS officials tell NBC News ICE has not yet allocated new funding to purchase the translation devices. And a Joliet lieutenant telling us, as helpful as the technology is, it won't work in every case.
For something serious like a homicide, armed robbery, or sexual assault type case, you're still going to need that Spanish-speaking officer.
In a statement, an ICE official said that the agency has allocated or has brought on a robust translation services and interpretation services. But they didn't say what those services are or whether or not they would be soon putting money behind these devices, and whether or not they actually have a policy whereby agents would be required to use translation devices in the field. Savannah?
Julia, we're also learning, right, that Charlotte, North Carolina could be the next city where we see immigration enforcement operations. What do we know?
Yeah, that's right. So just as Peter was talking about, we understand that the head of the command for Border Patrol in Chicago, Greg Bovino, is soon going to be leaving that city because Border Patrol has another target in mind, and that is Charlotte, North Carolina. What's different here, Savannah, is that this is not coordinated with ICE. At first, we saw Border Patrol as backup in cities like L.A. and Chicago. Then over the past month, they started to play more of a prominent role, especially when we saw those viral videos of some of the more aggressive and militarized tactics, including tear gas being thrown by Greg Bovino, which is now part of ongoing litigation when they've been enjoined from using excessive force. Now Border Patrol will be going to Charlotte without coordination with ICE in order to increase arrest there. We don't know exactly when they will be going to Charlotte. We just hear this is the next target for this team of Border Patrol agents. Savannah?
All right, Julia, thank you so much.
The U.S. Navy confirms America's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, has arrived in the Caribbean. The deployment is part of President Trump's show of force to deter cartels from smuggling drugs into the U.S. It comes amid those controversial strikes against alleged drug boats in those waters. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from Colombia as tensions continue to escalate.
The Pentagon announced the USS Gerald Ford arrived in the Latin American region, part of President Trump's war on drug cartels. The Ford is the biggest aircraft carrier in the American fleet and has accompanying warships, far more firepower than needed to sink a few alleged drug smuggling boats. The target could be Venezuela. President Trump calls its authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, a narco-terrorist. Neighboring Colombia is also on edge.
Colombia is a drug den. It's a drug den, and it has been for a long time.
I met the chief of Colombia's elite counter-narcotics division. He was emphatic. His troops fight drug smugglers.
What do you think when people in the United States, critics, say that Colombia, your forces, aren't doing anything?
Every day, we continue to carry out intelligence, land, and air operations to combat this scourge of drug trafficking, he said.
The U.S. military strikes on boats allegedly carrying drugs heading for the United States is having a chilling effect on fishermen here in Colombia. Normally, these boats go far out to sea to find their catch. But now, fishermen tell us they're too afraid, worried that if they go far from the shore, they could be hit by a U.S. drone.
These fishermen only brought in a meager haul after 6 hours at sea. Richard Engel, NBC News, Santa Marta, Colombia.
Let's get you to weather now, and you probably know this, an early blast of winter weather is continuing to cause problems for folks here in the east. Parts of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and western New York were blanketed with roughly 8 inches of snow yesterday, and forecasters say up to 6 more inches of lake effect snow could fall today. New York City saw its first few flakes of the season yesterday. Meanwhile, in the southeast, 6 million people are under freeze and frost advisories as temperatures in parts of Florida are dipping into the 20s again this morning. If you were with us yesterday, you may remember that temperatures that low can cause cold, stunned iguanas to fall from trees. Luckily, they will revive once the weather warms up.
So when can those lizards expect to feel that warm up? Because everyone's wondering. Let's get a check on your morning News Now weather.
We've got meteorologist Rafael Miranda with us this morning with your forecast. Raf, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. Yeah, not today. Today is another chilly morning for the iguanas in Florida. You can see we have those freeze warnings and frost advisories in effect for 6 million folks down there. Temperatures this morning very cold again. We're talking about below freezing readings into Tallahassee. It's 28 degrees right now. Even into central Florida, temperatures are quite chilly, starting out in the low 40s, but you will rebound later today. In the northeast, chilly and breezy, just like yesterday, but not quite as intense. We had those snow flurries, and it was cold. It was windy all day in New York City and along I-95. Another chilly start today, but just not as bad as yesterday. Some more lake effect snow showers continue around the region today and even into tomorrow. This is winding down, though, and we're going to see some rain showers in the mix. As far as accumulations are concerned, it's going to be mainly on the the light side. Some of the higher elevations here in the mountains of the Northeast picking up a good, decent snow accumulation through tomorrow afternoon. We are warming up, though, across much of the country. A nice thaw out. You can see the warming trend today. St. Louis back above average, still holding on to that below average chill along the eastern seaboard, but this warmth starts to expand by tomorrow. You can see Kansas City near 70 for tomorrow, Memphis in the 70s as well, and then the heat does spread east as we head into the weekend when it really counts for many. Raleigh, you're back to the 70s by Sunday, so gradual warming in the southeast as well. In the northeast, enjoying some milder temperatures over the weekend. Out west, a big storm moving on shore over the next couple of days. It's going to be bringing some travel issues. Today, that storm starts to push in, but tomorrow we're talking about heavy rain and strong winds and a flood risk for those burn scar areas of California. Significant rainfall on the way, so watch out for travel delays in addition to what we're seeing already due to weather if you're heading to the West Coast tomorrow.
All right, Ralph, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, contamination concerns. Doctors sounding the alarm on new moms sharing breast milk, what they're saying about the risks.
But at first, caught on camera, dozens of tourists rescued after a catamaran sinks near the Dominican Republic. The dramatic scenes after the break. Stay with us. We are back with the latest in Europe's effort to help Ukraine in its war against Russia. One company in Latvia is using cutting-edge artificial intelligence to develop a drone that can track and potentially attack enemy targets. NBC News International correspondent Raf Sanchez shows us how it works.
Sometimes it takes a drone to stop a drone. That's the idea behind Blaze, an interceptor drone powered by AI, trained to recognize and track enemy targets before a human operator gives it the order to take them down by self-destructing. We traveled to a military testing range in Latvia to see it for ourselves.
We don't fly these systems fly themselves.
Agris Kipers is the co-founder of Origin, the Latvian startup behind the Blaze system. His last company made drones for extreme sports, but he pivoted to defense after the start of the war in Ukraine. Now he's leading a small tech firm racing to solve a continental-sized problem. How can Europe defend itself from swarms of Russian drones?
We definitely move fast. We understand the urgency. We understand the importance of delivering now.
Since its invasion of Ukraine, Russia has become a drone production powerhouse, able to make hundreds every day to pound Ukrainian cities. Blaze drones are already being battle-tested in Ukraine, the company says. But efforts by NATO nations to stockpile interceptors are still at an early stage.
You get the sense this is very much still a cottage industry, individual drones being assembled by hand. The question is, though, can this be scaled up to a level where it can compete with the Russians?
In recent weeks, mysterious drones have been spotted all across Europe, forcing civilian airports to halt flights in Germany, Norway, and Denmark. And last week, sightings over a military base in Belgium. The Kremlin denies involvement, but European leaders say they suspect Russia is responsible. In the most serious incident, Poland says 21 Russian drones flew into its territory in September. The country's foreign minister telling NBC News Russia was testing NATO's defenses.
Putin has put us on notice that we need to quickly build those steps of the ladder of the defense of our outer perimeter.
Some of the drones were shot down by advanced NATO fighter jets from the Dutch Air Force.
But the question for NATO is, how sustainable is it to have $80 million F-35s like this, chasing after swarms of Russian drones that cost just a few $1,000s each?
That's where low-cost interceptors like Blaze come in. NATO countries say smaller, cheaper tech will be a key part of the so-called drone wall, a plan to build up anti-drone air defenses across the continent.
You have to be 10 times cheaper than the target you are intercepting, and that's what these does.
You can make these cheaply enough that you can intercept large numbers of Russian drones if you needed to?
Yes, for sure. It's just about the scale.
His firm knows how to hunt attack drones because it also makes them.
Take off. And off it goes.
This drone is already in use in Ukraine. Origin says it can train a pilot in just 2 days. Ukraine's military did not respond to our request for comment.
This feels like a video game.
Yeah. And in just a few minutes,
bombs away.
I was ready to start dropping dummy bombs.
Almost directly to the target.
Almost right on target, yeah. This is looking pretty good to me.
Dead in center.
So a bomb this size could take out a Russian tank?
Definitely, if hit precisely.
War in the age of AI, self-guiding drones, and death at the press of a button. Raf Sanchez, NBC News.
Staying with international news, an investigation is underway after a catamaran packed with tourists sank off the coast of the Dominican Republic. Officials say the boat struck an unknown object and sparked an emergency rescue operation. NBC News correspondent George Solis has more.
Dramatic video capturing the tense moments passengers were left floating in the Caribbean Sea after their catamaran sank. The stranded tourists can be heard shouting, one person appearing to hold a cell phone in the choppy water. And this is the moment rescuers tossed in life preservers attempting to save the passengers. The life preserver is heard as someone is pulled out of the water. This photo capturing people floating before they were rescued. Authorities say tourists from a German cruise line went on a catamaran contracted by the cruise company. The excursion, just off the coast of the Dominican Republic, took an unexpected turn on Sunday. The vessel, named Boca de Yuma, collided with an unknown object in the ocean and began taking on water, according to officials. Part of the 40-foot vessel seen here before mostly disappearing into Samana Bay, a tourist hotspot. In a statement to NBC News, the cruise company saying in part the rescue of the guests was the top priority and that they'll work with the authorities during the investigation. Everyone on board, around 50 people, including the captain and crew, was saved according to officials. The search for answers into this high-sea rescue continues.
Multiple authorities are working to figure out what went wrong here. A lot of people pointing to the fact that all of those passengers were wearing their life jackets, which made it easier to rescue them. Back to you.
Thank you, George.
Coming up on Morning News Now, a new tool for moms-to-be that could save lives.
If I hadn't gotten it checked out, I would have never forgiven myself for the danger it could have caused for me and Eloise.
When we return, how a simple blood test could help prevent a potentially deadly condition. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our weekly medical checkup. This week we're taking a look at why weight loss drugs are increasingly being prescribed to cancer patients.
Also, the risks of parents sharing breast milk for their babies.
Joining us now with the latest on these health headlines is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, good to have you with us. So let's start with this first study. It says more and more doctors are prescribing these popular weight loss drugs to cancer patients.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, so this is interesting. And I think kind of the whole idea behind this study is, are they doing this with any thought that prescribing GLP-1s will actually help the patients with their cancer diagnosis, as opposed to the fact that many of the cancers for which this is being prescribed are obesity related. So thyroid, breast cancer, endometrial cancer, not to mention a whole host of other cancers that are actually related to obesity. And in fact, more recently, there has been a lot of research that say that patients on GLP-1s have a 17% lower risk of developing cancer. Wow. So I think that they're being prescribed because of the obesity, not because of the cancer. However, it's very interesting to see what the outcomes will be in those patients who are on GLP-1s. Definitely something that's going to be studied further. In terms of doctor's orders, nothing specific related to cancer and GLP-1s, but we have to just always remind people when you're on GLP-1s, hydration and nutrition is so important, and specifically your protein intake, because you're losing muscle as well as losing fat on GLP-1s.
All right, good reminders. Okay, this next study looks at how many new moms are sharing breast milk. First, explain why that's something that parents and moms want to do, why it's helpful, and then what the risks are.
Right. And so this study looked at, did a survey of women mostly under the age of 30, and they found that 1 in 27 moms are sharing milk. Most are getting them from what we call pasteurized donor banks. There's actually milk banks. However, a lot of women are getting it from the internet, from friends, from other sites where people can access milk. Why is that? Well, there's a few reasons. One is cost. Milk bank milk is definitely more expensive. Always in the news, we have issues about formula and
right
contamination.
now, right.
Exactly. And we know, of course, that breast milk is so good and so healthy for newborns. And the thing is, many women make so much milk, they want to give it away.
Right.
So, but there are some guidelines, and because it is something that actually is a lot more common than I think most of us would think.
Yeah.
Really, really important is in terms of the donor milk. You have to screen the donor for their health history and their medication history. And you really have to ask about proper collection and storage. Two things that I want our viewers to know about. The American Academy of Nursing has a consensus statement on guidelines for this, and the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine also has recommendations and guidelines for this. Because one of those things where it's like people are going to do it, we want you to do it safely.
Right.
So I think there is a safe way to do it. And again, I think, for those moms who can't produce enough milk themselves and moms who are producing more, if you can actually help somebody else and feed another child, that's wonderful. But you need to know how to do it safely.
Good advice there. All right, let's talk about sleep. We know, or at least we've heard, that sleep is important and has many health benefits.
Yes.
This is an interesting study that shows that not getting enough sleep can increase your injuries while exercising.
Yes.
Are you just falling asleep while exercising?
No, that's what you would think. You'd be like, what's going on there? I'll tell you what's going on there. So I think runners normally think about three things: mileage, nutrition, and recovery. And now we're adding a fourth thing to the thing that they need to think about, and that's sleep. These study authors found that people who got poor sleep, poor quality, poor duration were twice as likely to suffer injuries while running. Why would that happen? Oh, things like there's tissue repair happening when you're sleeping, there's hormonal things that can impact injury, and cognitive acuity. To your point, are you more likely to stumble and trip and have an accident? So obviously, doctor's orders, prioritizing rest, consistency obviously is very key. All the things that we talk about with sleep hygiene are so important and apply here also. And something, even though for most of us in this middle age, you're not quite middle age yet, you and I are.
Not, so
7 to 9 hours is the target for most of us. Runners actually need more. People who are really clocking up mileage, it's okay for them to take those naps and really listen to their bodies. They don't have to stick to that strict 7 to 9 as much as we all do.
A reminder of the healing powers of sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. Thanks, Dr.
Thank
Azar.
you. Good ones today. Well, staying with medical news, there's a new tool for expectant moms that can help doctors detect potential serious complications during pregnancy. It's a blood test that helps risk of developing preeclampsia, which can be a life-threatening condition, usually caused by high blood pressure. Well, according to the World Health Organization, the condition claims the lives of 46,000 mothers and 500,000 newborns every year. Bianca Castro from NBC Dallas spoke to one mom who said getting that test saved her and her newborn daughter's life.
Baby Eloise is the pride and joy of parents Stephanie and Cameron.
Honestly, I almost threw the strip away and didn't think, that it was actually going to be a positive test. So when I realized it was positive, we were overjoyed.
But what the couple did not expect was what happened when Stephanie was 31 weeks into what had been a normal, healthy pregnancy.
And I just had lots of swelling in my hands. I was really fatigued. I was really lightheaded that day after work.
Stephanie called her doctor, Dr. Angela Angel, who recognized the symptoms of those as preeclampsia, a pregnancy complication characterized in part by high blood pressure. If it becomes severe, doctors would have to deliver the baby early to save mom's life. In Stephanie's case, Dr. Angel used a new blood test that can see if Stephanie's preeclampsia would get worse.
It told me that the likelihood she was going to develop severe preeclampsia within the next 2 weeks was pretty high. So rather than sending her home and letting her do a bed rest protocol at home, I kept her in the hospital over the weekend.
And sure enough, Stephanie's condition worsened, leaving doctors one choice. By Monday, they delivered baby Eloise 8 weeks before her due date.
This test can definitely add a layer of security, knowing that they're going to be fine. Or in Stephanie's case, knowing that she's not going to be fine and she needed to stay with us.
In the first quarter of 2025, 64 tests were completed at Texas Health Dallas. 36 patients came back at high risk. Stephanie was one of them, and she is grateful that she heeded the warning signs.
if I hadn't gotten it checked out, I would have never forgiven myself for the danger it could have caused for me and Eloise. I mean, one or the both of us could not be here, or we both could have severe neurological disability from it, from seizures or death for her. Don't not get things checked out. Always seek medical help for it.
Just incredible. Our thanks to Bianca Castro from NBC Dallas for that report. Now, some doctors say they're seeing this increase of patients with high blood pressure during pregnancy. It is because more women are getting pregnant later in life, or they have a higher BMI, which puts them at risk. Experts say the best way to prevent preeclampsia is prenatal care and listening to your doctor's guidance.
Coming up, developing news, the hotel guests who say they were forced out of their rooms mid-stay.
Yeah, this is after a short-term rental company announced it's filing for bankruptcy. You're watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. Well, in an effort to give more people access to the American dream, President Trump is floating the idea of a 50-year mortgage versus that traditional 30-year term to try and make buying a home more affordable.
That longer term is designed to lower people's monthly payments, but some experts say homeowners would end up paying much more in interest over those 50 years, which can be risky for borrowers and lenders. Linda Baccaro from WNBC here in New York explains.
30-year mortgages are a fixture in the housing market since the 1940s. The Trump administration says it's considering allowing a new, longer 50-year mortgage.
The younger generation isn't probably going to end up with a house paid off.
I think it's a great idea. I think it makes more affordability for more people.
Barbara Guerriere, a home loan consultant with Valley Bank, points out, though, that you have to factor in the interest. Let's crunch numbers according to Fannie Mae's mortgage calculator. A $500,000 30-year loan with an interest rate of 6.3% gives you a mortgage payment of $3,101 a month. A 50-year loan at 6.8% brings it down to $2,932. Using that same Fannie Mae calculator, the total interest you'd pay over 30 years is $616,000. Stretching payments out over 50 years doubles the interest to more than $1.2 million.
You're paying increased interest towards it. It also slows up the buildup of equity in the home.
If you're likely to sell the home sooner rather than later, that's where smaller payments might pay off. This homeowner is originally from Bedford.
Even if they sell it, then they've still acquired equity, and real estate's a really good investment.
Our thanks to Linda Baccaro from WNBC for that report. Well, to break down the pros and cons of that 50-year mortgage, let's bring in Bianca D'Alessio. She's a real estate broker and the founder of the Masters Division at Nest Seekers International. Bianca, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us. So, I mean, this was big news this week, also because just this week we've heard that the median age of a typical first-time homebuyer is now up to 40. Highest it's ever been, and kind of making this point that it's so hard to break in to the housing market. Now, the math there is a little bit interesting, but how could a 50-year mortgage option help first-time homebuyers break into the market?
So the best thing about this is that it's a tool, like any other tool and option that we see in the mortgage market, and it's to be used just that way, because when you look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense. But what this will do is help more buyers and first-time home buyers qualify for mortgages. That few $100 swing that you would be saving a month because you would have the lower payments will help them qualify for a loan and in turn get into the market because they can get a mortgage.
As Linda explained, there are some risks associated with that. So let's talk about this. And I think another question, sometimes one of the benefits of having a mortgage is the interest deduction on your taxes every year. What might this mean for that, too?
So listen, when you're looking at, no one plans to hold a home for 50 years. So when you look at the math over 50 years, do the numbers make sense? Absolutely not. But the plan would be for people to refinance, get into the housing market, start to build that equity. Yes, you're not building it as quickly as you would in a 15 or a 30-year mortgage, because a lot of that money is going to that interest instead of the principal. However, you're getting into the market. And then other options, especially because we have that age being 40 years old. If we could get more younger home buyers into the market, as they start to make more money in their jobs, they could pay off that loan faster. And there's a lot of other refinance options that would be available to them.
Let's talk, though, about like if this is even really going to happen. I mean, for now, it's just a proposal. It's got to be approved by Congress to basically change what a qualified mortgage is. And some experts say that could take at least a year. Walk us through that process.
This could be a very long process because it's a risky portfolio, right? If we're looking at something over 50 years, the profile has a lot more factors of what are rates actually going to look like, which home buyers would qualify, what do their financial requirements and their credit requirements need to look like in order to get this. So do I anticipate that this is going to be a forever plan or solution or open to the masses? No. But as a short-term option to a select group of buyers to help them get into the market, I see this being an option that we could see in the future.
The down payment obviously is still an issue no matter what. That's a big hurdle for so many people. So if you're a home buyer, prospective home buyer, especially for the first time, just no matter what mortgage you're looking at here, what's your best advice for people?
Is to have that comfortable range is that 15 to 20% down is where you want to be. At that 20% down number, you get rid of the PMI, which is a big nut to have in the beginning. And that's where you really want to be striving to save in order to qualify.
All right, Bianca D'Alessio, thanks for joining us. Certainly a talker this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Even more money news now. Short-term rental company Sonder just made an announcement that left some guests suddenly searching for a new place to stay.
NBC's Emily Lors joins us live with that and other Wall Street headlines. Emily, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. A shakeup in the travel world. Short-term rentals company Sonder says it plans to file for bankruptcy just a day after Marriott ended its licensing deal with the company. The partnership signed last year was seen as a lifeline for Sonder, which struggled during and after the pandemic. Guests at some properties claimed they were abruptly told to leave with less than a day's notice. Sonder says it will pursue a court-supervised liquidation of its U.S. business. And Australia is banning anyone younger than 16 from using social media starting on December 10th. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook will soon pay more than 1 million teen accounts to either download their data, freeze their profiles, or lose their data entirely. The new law is part of a growing global push to limit youth exposure to harmful online content. Finally, Wicked fans can get a trip to Oz like never before. Airbnb is opening Elphaba's Retreat, a real-life forest hideaway inspired by Wicked for Good, which hits theaters on November 21st. Cynthia Erivo, who stars as Elphaba, is hosting 20 lucky people for an immersive experience in California next month, complete with storytelling, rituals, and a glimpse into her world of magic. The free experience is now open for booking requests with a one-night stay available as well. Guys, that one-night stay is only for 2 lucky fans, and I bet there's going to be a huge rush of people hoping that magic is on their side there.
No kidding. Good one there. That's so crazy. These experiences get more and more involved. They're so cool.
They are. Airbnb is pumping them out.
All right.
For lucky few.
Thanks, Emily. Coming up, the Radio City Rockettes kicking it up a notch this Christmas season. When we come back, the new state-of-the-art sound system just installed to make the holiday cheer crystal clear for your ears.
Speaking of the holidays, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas right outside our studios here at 30 Rock. Take a look. That's the star. The Swarovski star. It weighs about 900 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
70 spikes covered in 3 million crystals, 9 feet in diameter, now being placed right on top of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. Stay with us.
Right now. That's a live picture.
This is Morning News. Welcome back. There it is live one more time. You're watching that 900-pound Swarovski star being placed atop the 75-foot Rockefeller.
Look at the little elves
Christmas
laying
tree.
down next to it to get it up. All these guys that work on the tree for us.
It takes a big crane to do that, but the lighting, of course, will be taking place on December 3rd. But clearly the tree taking shape less than a week after arriving here at Rockefeller Center. And just a block away, well, we've got a high kick note to end this hour on. The Radio City Rockettes are going to be performing in their 100th season this year. And Radio City Music Hall is celebrating the milestone by introducing a new immersive sound system.
Get this, it even includes microphones built directly into the dancers' shoes. Gus Rosendale from our sister station NBC New York embarked on the grueling journey just across West 50th Street to show us what all the noise is about.
You have never heard the 36-piece orchestra for the Radio City Christmas Spectacular sound quite like this.
You are experiencing the Christmas spectacular in such an immersive way. You are a part of the show. You're a part of the holiday tradition with us.
The Rockettes celebrating 100 years and a new audio system amplifying the microphones built into their shoes.
We have patents, and we have designed these special microphones that are installed in each shoe, in the heel of each shoe, to amplify the tap sounds.
Sphere Immersive Sound, pioneered at the Sphere in Las Vegas, is now finding a home at Radio City. A new way to hear films, concerts, and other kinds of live performances.
This is state-of-the-art, boundary-pushing digital signal processing.
So here we are in the very front row, and of course you expect a good view and very good audio with seats like these. But this new audio experience continues and follows you no matter where you sit, all around the Radio City Music Hall.
A special demonstration for members of the media. We walked around the theater, hearing how different types of music and sound can be isolated and played throughout the arena. Every seat, no matter where, enjoying the same audio quality.
Even up here in the second mezzanine, the somewhat cheaper seats, the audio is just as good. It's almost like you're sitting right down by the orchestra pit down there.
That's a barking dog, let alone a grand orchestra. It's all amplified with precision.
The introduction of the Sphere Immersive Sound System has brought the Christmas Spectacular to a whole new level.
The new system debuts this month with the Rockettes and then plays at future shows starting next year.
I can't wait.
All right, thanks to Gus Rosendale for that report. If you want to check out the new sound system or just want to take in the classic tradition of New York, the Christmas Spectacular is running at Radio City Music Hall now through January 4th. And with this 100-year celebration, it is going to be a party all season.
I mean, it's an incredible show, so recommend it.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, ready to resume. We could be mere hours away from putting the longest federal government shutdown in American history in the rearview mirror. House lawmakers expected to vote on that Senate-approved funding bill later tonight. If it passes, it'll then head to President Trump's desk. And it comes as Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy offers this stark new warning to already tattered travelers. If Washington doesn't seal the deal by the end of this week, more trouble could be on the way just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. We're covering it all. Mother Nature isn't making the skyways any smoother. Millions across the East Coast defrosting this morning after a wicked fall freeze. Swaths of snow falling in the north and bitterly cold temps chilling the country as far south as Florida. But will the shivers continue into this weekend? We have got your full forecast. Plus, as artificial intelligence stirs up controversy among Hollywood's top talent, 2 Oscar-winning actors are leaning in, all to make their voices heard in a groundbreaking way. And later in the hour, 'tis the season to reignite that age-old debate, real or fake. We're going to break down the costs of the humble Christmas tree and where President Trump's tariffs could fit into the festivities. You got your tree up yet?
Yes, because it's fake. But I'm all for a real tree.
A real tree.
But
little early.
It means you can't have it.
Unless
yet.
you've got a
So
75-foot tree outside of 30
Yeah.
Rockefeller Center and you just water it immensely. All right. Let's begin this hour with the ongoing travel headaches for passengers at airports all across the country.
Yeah, despite a House vote coming expected later today that could potentially end the government shutdown, many flights still likely to be canceled today. Travelers are hoping to see airports running back at normal capacity in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. That's 2 weeks away. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the latest for us from Reagan National Airport.
Joe and Savannah, good morning. We have seen air traffic control staffing levels improve over the last 2 days as the president threatened to dock the pay of controllers who didn't show up to work and also appealed to their patriotism. Then we had the Senate, of course, agreed to reopen the government. It's now up to the House. However, the Trump administration is also warning that if the House doesn't act to open the government, then in fact Thanksgiving travel itself could be in jeopardy.
With air travel still strained ahead of the holidays, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is warning even more trouble may be on the way if the government does not reopen.
You might have airlines that say, we're going to ground our planes. We're not going to fly anymore. That's how serious this is.
It comes as United Airlines announced it has already canceled nearly 300 flights today alone. And a total of 8%, roughly 1,600 trips, could be scrapped at the nation's busiest hubs, including New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, Phoenix, Dallas, and L.A. All, as Duffy says, aviation risk levels have risen during the shutdown.
We have to make decisions to keep people safe.
The long lines, delays, and cancellations caused in large part by labor shortages. While staffing at air traffic control improved on Tuesday, they and TSA officers have now gone more than a month without pay. Travelers left in limbo as frustration goes sky high.
Y'all, I've been stuck in Washington, D.C. for like 8 to 9 hours right now.
I don't trust any airports. I don't trust any of this stuff anymore. I have totally lost faith.
Even some flight attendants are encouraging alternative travel plans.
All I'm saying is, from a flight attendant, don't fly. Don't fly. If you can take a train, take a car, do that. Don't fly.
Still, with 31 million Americans expected to fly over Thanksgiving, the race is on to get everyone back on track.
How quickly do you anticipate normal operations?
It's going to be really dependent on working with the FAA to ensure that we maintain the safety of the system. You know, with Thanksgiving just around the corner, it is just going to be super important that we're there, able to deliver to our customers.
Yeah, the airlines are saying it could take several days once the FAA gives them the green light to start resuming normal operations. By the way, air traffic controllers should get 70% of their pay within 48 hours of the government shutdown ending. The rest of the pay should come as soon as next week. So everybody here now waiting to see whether, in fact, the government reopens this week and before Thanksgiving. Guys, back to you.
That's the big hope. Tom, thank you.
With all this chaos at airports, many flyers are turning to travel insurance to protect their trips. Since the shutdown started, the travel insurance website Hopper says it's seen a 35% increase in the purchase of its disruption assistance, which offers some protections for delays and cancellations.
Now, while these policies can help you get some money back during this period of unpredictable travel, it might not offer as much protection as buyers would expect.
Going.com travel expert Katie Nastro is here to help us determine if travel insurance might be right for you as we approach the holidays. Katie, good morning. Obviously, delays and cancellations front of mind right now. What's typically covered under a standard travel insurance policy and what isn't? And does the government shutdown have any impact on these policies?
Yeah, good morning. So largely what people want to look for when they're considering travel insurance is those unexpected occurrences that might happen before your trip or during your trip. So think about covered for reason of illness, injury, severe weather, baggage loss and delay. You have to delay your trip a little bit. But when it comes to the government shutdown, this is now considered a foreseen experience. This is, or a occurrence. This is not an unforeseen occurrence. So for a lot of people, if they have trips coming up and are considering, oh, maybe I should purchase some insurance, a lot of policies are not going to cover the delays and whatnot because this is already something we've known about. So a lot of people are under the impression that it's going to be a save-all when it really might not be.
Katie, I think also people might be a little bit confused about when it's time that you're like having to add something on like a travel insurance option, especially from like a third-party website like a Hopper versus just what the airline is supposed to be doing for passengers if their flight is delayed or canceled. What are you just supposed to expect from your airline that means you don't need to be paying an extra fee?
Yeah, great question, Savannah. And I want to remind people, regardless of whether your flight has been outrightly canceled due to the impacts of the government shutdown or whether we're still coming into that season where wintry mixes can happen. And so if your flight is canceled, whatever the reason, or significantly delayed by 3 hours or more, you are entitled to a refund or a rebooked flight. You do not have to purchase any additional insurance to cover the cost of your flight that you weren't able to take, or because you opted that you didn't want to take the rebooking from the airline.
So I have to admit, I've never bought travel insurance. I always just kind of deal with the airlines or get the money back, same with hotels or things like that. But for people who do it, I mean, what are the most common mistakes people make when buying this travel insurance and how can you avoid those mistakes?
Yeah, Joe, I think a lot of people seem to look at travel insurance again as a save-all when it really is not going to cover for 100% of the costs that you might have incurred because of some sort of disruption. So we want people to consider it earlier in their buying process because you're going to get better premiums that way, as well as understanding that cancel for any reason or any interruption for any reason insurances are going to be sort of the best case scenario. They're going to cover you up to 75% of those total costs that you've incurred. But a little caveat, they're going to come at a higher premium. So big picture, ask yourself all the ways that you are protected. Is your credit card already have any trip delay insurances or trip coverages included that you're purchasing your trip with? You're remembering that your airline is already going to give you a refund if you can't travel because it's canceled or significantly delayed. But say you have a tour or a cruise that's not connected to that carrier. You want to ask yourself, okay, maybe this is an area where I'm going to consider some extra insurance because I have this big ticket item that I want to make sure I get some money back from.
All right, Katie Nastro, something a lot of folks are wondering about right now. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
Well, more travelers are facing disruption this morning after a short-term rental company, it's called Sonder, went out of business.
Sonder announced it's filing for bankruptcy after Marriott ended a licensing agreement, and some guests claim they were then kicked out of their rooms mid-stay. NBC's Sam Brock joins us with more on this one. Sam, good morning.
Unpleasant.
Timing, guys. Good morning. Absolutely terrible, right? You have the whole holiday season coming up here in a matter of weeks. As for, what we're looking at right now, you mentioned Sonder, and they had a partnership with Marriott that was only about a year or so old. But given that, they've mentioned they have to now pull the plug financially because they could not meet their obligations. What it means, Joe, as you just mentioned, hotel guests who were literally mid-stay found out hours ago they have to leave.
It's a hotel horror story for travelers around the world.
We just got evicted from our hotel.
Guests left in the lurch after a major hotel breakup. Marriott ending its partnership with the short-term rental company Sonder over the weekend, citing its default. The chain, a rival to Airbnb, abruptly announcing bankruptcy. And now, guests of Sonder properties finding themselves kicked out, some alerted by just a sign on the door.
They're saying basically that we need to move everything out with less than 24-hour notice and scramble to find another hotel.
Yeah. So here we are, possibly homeless.
Sonder employees also confirming they were laid off.
This was all dropped on us abruptly, and it's a bit heartbreaking.
The company saying it was left with, quote, no choice other than to proceed with an immediate wind down of our operations. And Marriott saying its priority is supporting current guests and minimizing disruption.
What do we do? Are we going to be able to even find a hotel in New York City at Christmas time with 3 weeks' notice?
Sonder was once an up-and-coming company, challenging Airbnb with stays in 40 cities around the world and perks like digital check-ins. After struggling during the pandemic, striking a licensing deal with Marriott last year. But now, the company says it's liquefying all its assets, leaving travelers from Miami to Paris wondering what comes next.
It's pouring outside, and we don't know what to do.
So as for what's next for guests, the obvious question here, Marriott says they're going to be contacting guests who booked directly through their website and app to address, quote, any booking concerns. But those who book through a third-party travel agency, as we were just talking about, are asked to contact those companies. NBC News has reached out to both Sonder and Marriott for further comment. So far, we have not heard back. You just hope the folks that are completely displaced as a result of this, all the timing, too, find some place to stay for the holidays, because it's really, really tricky in that situation.
You have to imagine there were some people who have been kicked out of their place now. Probably took them 2 days to get there in the first place because of all the problems at the airport.
What a nightmare. All right, Sam, thank you.
As we mentioned at the start of the hour, lawmakers are making their way back to Washington to cast what could be the final vote to reopen the government. That would end what has been the longest government shutdown in American history. The closure forced federal workers to go without pay, and it's left millions missing their food assistance benefits. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has been following every twist and turn and joins us with more on what's at stake tonight. Ryan, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, we could be at the finish line here. Republican leaders are confident that the votes are there to end this shutdown tonight, but there is no guarantee. 435 House members are rushing back to Washington to get back in time to vote, and the shutdown they are trying to end may make that process difficult.
The mad dash is on to get to the Capitol to end the government shutdown.
I am leaving Jonesboro, Arkansas, on my way to Washington.
As airports across America face delays and cancellations, some members, like Wisconsin's Derek Van Orden, are taking matters into their own hands.
Flights are too unreliable, so I'm going to ride on a motorcycle. It's going to take about 16 hours or so. It's going to be a little chilly.
The vote, while expected to pass, will still be tight. House Democrats, still unhappy with the deal hatched by moderates in the Senate, are telling their members to vote no.
Our strong expectation is that Democrats will be strongly opposed because it fails to address the health care crisis that Republicans have created.
The margins in the House are razor thin. If every Democrat votes no, Republicans can only afford 2 defections. But President Trump, confident the votes would be there, saying he will sign the deal.
We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed. Should have never been closed.
The 43-day shutdown may be close to being over, but the fallout is just beginning. Democrats, angry some in their party, gave in without getting the necessary changes to health care, including an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
I don't know how a prerequisite for reopening the federal government is kicking people off of health care.
Much of the ire directed at Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who voted no but was unable to corral the group of 8 caucus members who voted yes. Still, not a single sitting Senate Democrat has called for him to step down as leader, including Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman, who voted with Republicans.
I know he's under siege, but I'm not going to pile on right now.
And while the politics will continue to rage, the government is poised to reopen. A welcome relief to the millions begging for an end to the shutdown.
I think right now this burden is really just too difficult for so many families.
Now, in addition to the vote on the shutdown, Speaker Mike Johnson is also planning to finally swear in Arizona's Adelita Grijalva, a Democrat elected on September 23rd, whom Republicans refused to let take office because the government was shut down. Guys, back to you.
All right, Ryan, thank you.
Well, the eastern part of the country starting to defrost this morning after a brutal blast of winter. Not before breaking records all across the South, though, yesterday. Get this, it was actually colder in northern Florida than parts of Greenland. There's a stat for you. NBC News meteorologist Rafael Miranda will have your forecast in just a moment, but we're going to begin with NBC's Aaron Gilchrist. He is in Atlanta, where it's looking a lot different this time yesterday when we spoke to you, though you are still bundled up. Hey, Aaron, good morning.
Hey, good morning. It's a few degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday, Savannah. Still cold here, and folks, I think all over the southeast have been working to start thawing out, right? The big coats, the headgear, the good folks here at Ponce City Market turned on the fire pit this morning, so we worked our way up here to try to warm up a little bit. We were looking at temperatures at around 35 degrees to get us started here this morning. Still very cold, and the reality is that winter really arrived here in Atlanta and other parts of the South before folks were ready for it. This morning, the Arctic chill slowly loosening its grip after a snowy and record-shattering start to the week, setting at least 36 new record lows yesterday in the southeast. The early blast of winter burying parts of Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan under more than a foot of lake-effect snow. In Gary, Indiana, this was the aftermath Monday when a train hit a truck that became stuck on icy tracks. Air travelers impacted too, as planes had to be de-iced for takeoff at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. For others, beauty shots from frosted fall foliage to mountains draped in blankets of snow. Meanwhile, in New York City, the first flurries of the season. But some Floridians bundled up in blankets, feeling their coldest air in nearly 6 decades, including iced-over iguanas. Al's forecast proving true.
Forget about it's raining men, it's raining iguanas.
Chilly with a chance of falling lizards.
I heard this, thump. It fell really far. Just to give you a perspective, it's probably a good 30 feet up.
Now, just in case you forgot, it is still fall. You can see that by the foliage that we found here in Atlanta. Really beautiful sight to see. We're going to swing back to the right season here. Starting this afternoon, we'll get temperatures rising into the 60s here, into the 70s in parts of Florida today. The iguanas are going to be able to warm up. They can go back to just basking in the sunshine there in Florida today, Savannah, a little bit later.
Aaron, I understand the fire pit. Love it. Thank you very much.
We are really into those iguanas. For more on this chilly weather and what's to come, it's going to check on your morning news now weather.
Especially Al Roker, right? Meteorologist Rafael Miranda joins us with the latest. Hey, Raf, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah, Joe. Yeah, the iguana's still moving really slow this morning in Florida. We have temperatures in the 30s right now. Places like Tallahassee, Tampa, 50 degrees. So we're starting to warm up a little bit, but it's going to take a while to get there. And we still need the winter coats across the Northeast. It's cold. Hats, gloves, and scarves needed with temperatures in the 30s and 40s. But overall, we are looking at a big warm up. The pattern's shifting over the coming days. You can see some of that warmth from the west expanding east as we head through the next several days. By tomorrow, Kansas City and Memphis back above average. And again, everything's going to moderate as we head towards the weekend. So less in the way of layers needed across the south and the mid-Atlantic. Even D.C. back to 70 by the end of the weekend, or near it anyway. Now out west, it's another story. While we're dealing with a quiet weather pattern out east, a stormy one developing for the west coast from Washington down towards California. This is going to be a powerful high impact storm. Lots of strong winds, heavy rain as well. This is tomorrow into the following day here. You can see several inches of rain, a possibility across much of the Sunshine State. Not going to see much sunshine there. And you could also see some significant snow on the way for the Sierra Nevada locally. 2 feet there. Great news for skiers, but of course, watch out for travel impacts if you're heading out west. And we have all these wind alerts in effect as well, with winds expected to gust between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Stormy out west. What about the weekend? Well, Friday, we're staying chilly here in the Northeast, more like spring across the south, a flood risk for the desert Southwest. And Saturday, heavy rain possible in Southern California. Still chilly here in the Northeast, temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Sunday, we're looking at some rain, probably late in the day in places like New York City and Boston. A little unsettled across the desert Southwest.
So good for iguanas, not necessarily great for all the humans. Exactly. Depending on where you live.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Thanks, Raph. Appreciate it.
Got it.
More to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the grandson of JFK looking to take his family's political dynasty back to Congress.
First, after the break, a Trump administration show of force abroad, deploying America's largest aircraft carrier to the waters of Latin America. The escalating global tensions over a White House conflict that's targeting alleged drug smugglers. That's next.
Welcome back. The U.S. military is building up its presence in the waters off of South America. The U.S. Navy confirmed its largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, has arrived in the region. The deployment is fueling speculation that the administration is planning to escalate its deadly attacks on alleged drug smugglers in the region and cranking up tensions with Venezuela and Colombia. NBC News chief international correspondent Richard Engel joins us now from Colombia. Richard, good morning.
Good morning, and we are already hearing a response from Venezuela. The defense minister saying that his country is now on high alert and mobilizing 200,000 troops to defend against, quote, imperial threats.
This morning, the U.S. is flexing its military might abroad. The USS Gerald Ford, the biggest, most advanced aircraft carrier in the American fleet, now joining at least 8 warships and a nuclear sub already deployed in the waters off Latin America. Far more firepower than what's needed to sink a few alleged drug smuggling boats. In recent weeks, President Trump has authorized nearly 20 attacks on boats, killing at least 76 people. The real target may be Venezuela. President Trump calls its authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, a narco-terrorist and says his days are numbered. Mr. Trump has also accused the leader of neighboring Colombia, Gustavo Petro, of being in league with the narcos. I met the chief of Colombia's elite counter-narcotics division. He was emphatic his troops fight drug dealers, but admits they are dangerous, protecting their cocaine crops with landmines and explosive drones.
What is the most effective policies that you're using right now to confront the drug dealers?
Having good intelligence, which we are constantly exchanging with different international agencies, he said. But just hours after we spoke, President Petro posting on X that he's suspending all intelligence cooperation with the United States.
The U.S. military strikes on boats allegedly carrying drugs heading for the United States is having a chilling effect on fishermen here in Colombia.
Fabio Fabriga has been fishing here for years with his 2 sons. I asked him if he feels safe venturing into deep water. It's dangerous. We have to fish by the shore, he said. After 6 hours, these fishermen only brought in a meager haul.
Many in this region are now openly wondering if President Trump's ultimate goal is regime change in Venezuela. Savannah?
All right, Richard, thank you. Well, let's continue this conversation with Jason Marzak. He's the Vice President and Senior Director of the Atlantic Council's Adrian Arsht Latin America Center. Jason, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. So how do you interpret this move by the president to beef up the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean? Is this just about drugs, or sort of, as Richard alluded to there, do you think there's more going on here?
Savannah, Joe, good morning. The president said this is just about drugs. As Richard mentioned, about 70 people have been killed, nearly 20 different strikes. But there is, of course, and you saw the statement from the Venezuelan defense minister, there is a concern from the Venezuelan side, and there are many in the U.S. as well that are hoping that this could also lead to some type of pressure that Nicolas Maduro feels in Venezuela to leave office. Remember, back in the first Trump administration, President Trump as well launched a major effort to try to remove Nicolas Maduro from power, at that time even recognizing and leading the charge to recognize an interim government of Venezuela rather than that of Nicolas Maduro.
So, I mean, Venezuela says the U.S. is fabricating this drug crisis in order to topple Maduro. And the U.S., as you know, has made no secret of its intention to force Maduro out, and even touted potential strikes inside Venezuela. How likely do you think that is right now? What would be the legal implications of that?
Well, the administration officials were up in Congress last week, again, saying that there wasn't any imminent action in Venezuela, and that led to voting down a bipartisan resolution to prevent the administration from attacking inside Venezuela. There are a number of different theories of what could potentially happen. There is a massive U.S. firepower right now in the Caribbean, and there are, of course, drug targets within Venezuelan territory. So as part of the broader effort to stop the drug trade coming to the United States, there is a theory that the administration could potentially start to target drug targets within Venezuela. Whether we would go beyond that, I highly doubt that. There's, about 15,000 different personnel within the Caribbean right now. That is not enough U.S. military personnel to be able to launch any type of full-scale attack on Venezuela.
Jason, as we heard from Richard, tensions are also mounting with Venezuela's neighbor, Colombia. The country says it's suspending intelligence sharing with the U.S. actually until these attacks stop on these alleged drug boats. What kind of impact could that have? Where does that leave U.S.-Colombian relations?
Well, that has an important impact. Colombia has been one of our historically most important partners to fight the drug trade, not only reducing coca crop within Colombia, but also in intelligence sharing. Colombian intelligence is vital for then finding those boats in the Caribbean that are carrying illicit drugs coming to the United States. The relationship with Colombia and the United States has been on a downward spiral, not just in the last year, but really over the last few years, ever since President Petro came into office in Colombia, because he's questioned from the beginning the underlying framework of the U.S.-Colombia relationship, which is cooperation in the drug trade.
All right, Jason Marzak, thank you so much for joining us.
We've got developing news now out of Eastern Europe. Turkey's defense ministry says a military plane crashed in the country of Georgia, killing all the troops on board.
NBC News International correspondent Claudio Labanga joins us from Rome with our World News in 60 seconds. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. The Turkish defense minister confirmed that all 20 personnel on board that military cargo plane that crashed in Georgia on Tuesday were killed in the crash. Now, the C-130 plane took off from Azerbaijan and was on its way to Turkey when it suddenly crashed near the Georgia-Azerbaijan border. The cause of the crash was not immediately clear, and an investigation into what happened is ongoing. Let's go to dramatic video out of China where a section open bridge collapsed. The bridge on the highway that connects the country's heartland with the Tibet in the southwest of China was finished only earlier this year, but authorities closed it to traffic on Monday after cracks appeared on nearby slopes and shifts in the terrain of a mountain nearby were spotted. Let's end this tour of the world in the Dominican Republic, where on Tuesday a nationwide blackout paralyzed the country with a population of nearly 11 million people. The blackout left many homes and small businesses without power and disrupted mass transit systems, including cable cars and the subway in the capital, Santo Domingo. Officials blamed the failure in the grid's transmission system, although they too were left in the dark as to what caused this blackout.
Wow.
Guys.
All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, an American political dynasty could soon be heading back to Capitol Hill.
Yeah, when Morning News Now returns, the 32-year-old grandson of President John F. Kennedy, who's now throwing his hat in the ring, vying for one of NYC's most influential districts. That's next. Stay with us.
We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with the top consumer watchdog running out of money in a matter of months.
Joining us with that and more is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. We begin this morning right here in Washington, where the Trump administration has determined that funding for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the agency that protects consumers in the financial marketplace, is illegal. The CFPB, as it's known, typically gets its funding from the Federal Reserve, and the agency was created in 2010 to promote fairness and transparency in products like mortgages and credit cards, and to help Americans make better financial decisions. This move puts the CFPB at risk of running out of cash in a couple of months and closing altogether. Staying in Washington, heading over to my usual post on Capitol Hill, that's where there are negotiations happening right now to fix the Affordable Care Act. You'll remember the tax credits that help subsidize the health insurance plan expire this year. That's what the shutdown fight was all about. But some Republicans in the Senate are demanding stricter abortion limits on Obamacare insurance plans. Now, to be very clear, the ACA law signed by President Obama back in 2010 does not allow federal funds to cover abortions. But some states do allow people who get their health insurance coverage through the ACA to access reproductive care, including abortions, using state or other funding. Not surprisingly, Democrats are already saying they will not agree to that. Finally, this morning, we end in Utah, where a judge this week rejected a new congressional map drawn up by Republican state lawmakers that would have given them the edge in next year's midterms. Instead, that judge approved a map with a solid Democratic seat ahead of these very important elections next year. It's a major blow for the GOP, who designed the map to protect the state's entirely Republican congressional delegation here in D.C. The judge there said this was clearly political, concluding Republicans gerrymandered the map in favor of their own party. The new map gives Democrats a boost as they try to counter the GOP's mid-decade redistricting efforts in states all around the country. And that is a look at what is making news in politics this morning. Savannah, Joe.
All right, Julie, thank you so much. Well, we're going to keep with politics. Another member of the Kennedy political dynasty could soon be entering the arena. Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of former President John F. Kennedy, announced on social media overnight that he plans to run for Congress.
He's targeting an open seat in a high-profile and influential district right here in New York City. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk has more on his announcement this morning. Steph, good morning.
Hey, Savannah and Joe, good morning. Like so many members of his famous family, Jack Schlossberg, the youngest child of JFK's only daughter, Caroline, has grown up in the public spotlight. And now, after years of speculation about whether he might run for office, he's doing just that, trying to etch his own name into the famous Camelot legacy.
Is at a turning point.
This morning, John F. Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, throwing his hat in the political ring.
My name is Jack Schlossberg, and I'm running for Congress.
The youngest child of former Ambassador Caroline Kennedy and the only grandson of JFK and Jackie Kennedy, announcing a run for an influential New York district and attacking President Donald Trump.
Constitutional crisis with one dangerous man in control of all three branches of government.
Schlossberg is mostly known as a commentator and influencer without a traditional political background, working briefly for the State Department and as an election reporter for Vogue.
Ready?
Focusing on projects with his mother Caroline, like retracing his grandfather's swim in the Solomon Islands.
and the Profile in Courage Awards, which he often spoke about on Today.
There are people with integrity like these winners who are standing up and defending democracy.
But he became more political in recent years, particularly blasting his cousin Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential run and later position as Trump's health secretary.
He's trading in on Camelot, celebrity, conspiracy theories, and conflict for personal gain and fame.
Jack Schlossberg. Schlossberg also spoke at the Democratic National Convention in 2024.
Tonight, JFK's call to action is now ours to answer.
But he's gained a following with his prolific social media presence.
To fiery rants, drawing controversy for some posts, with graphic critiques of his cousin Robert F. Kennedy and wife Cheryl Hines, and off-color jokes, at one point posting that he was having a baby with Second Lady Usha Vance.
In a New York Times interview, Schlossberg acknowledging he's made mistakes, but saying he trusts his audience to understand what's going on. Now, the famous Kennedy heir praising his grandfather's legacy and saying he is focused on connecting the Democratic Party to young voters.
There is nowhere I'd rather be than in the arena fighting for my hometown.
He is running for the 12th congressional seat here in New York City. That's Manhattan. It's Jerry Nadler's seat. But he's got to get through a primary, and this is New York City, and that field is crowded.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Democrats might want to run for that seat.
Absolutely.
They've been waiting years.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, if you ask me, it's never too early to start decking the halls for a pre-Thanksgiving slice of the Christmas.
For the break, we are reigniting that hot debate among holiday diehards. Which is the perfect tree, real or fake? And perhaps most importantly, how much will it cost to decorate this year? We're going to break down how you can save a little green next.
Welcome back. It's almost time, maybe for some it is time for Christmas tree decorating. So as families budget out for the holidays, how much is it going to cost to buy and decorate that tree this year? NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung has the breakdown. Hey, Brian, good morning.
Hey there from Rockefeller Plaza, where our tree is still under construction. But of course, there is their age-old debate, real or fake, in your living room. And this year, prices could play an even larger factor in that decision as shoppers pine for a way to save.
I give you the Griswold family Christmas tree.
'Tis the season for those festive furs, as the holiday lovers start strategizing their Christmas tree decor this year.
The one and only Labubu Christmas tree.
A recent survey showing that consumers plan to spend almost $270 this year just on decor, including Christmas trees, bringing up the classic debate.
I need to know, are you team real or team fake Christmas tree?
We're a fake tree family.
Real Christmas trees, they smell amazing. They give your house that cozy vibe.
This year, a new consideration, the impact of tariffs, as experts advise moving quick to buy those artificial Christmas trees imported from abroad. Okay, so this one is one of your most popular trees?
Yes, so this is our Vermont white spruce. We go out in nature and cut branches off of trees to make molds to make these.
Mac Harmon, CEO of artificial tree maker Balsam Hill, says he expects prices to be up a little more than 10% compared to last year. The message, buy early.
I'd say if it's on promotion, it's a tree you'd want, I'd get it, because I wouldn't risk waiting. I definitely would not wait into December, because I think that's where we're going to start seeing certain items selling out sooner than they normally do.
Large retailers like Costco also warning that your fake fur selection might be thinner this year, as they recently said they were stocking fewer seasonal items like trees as they prioritize more warehouse space for furniture instead. One way to save this year, going fresh, since buying a homegrown tree means it's tariff-free. The Real Christmas Tree Board surveyed wholesale growers, and over 80% said they do not plan to raise prices.
I do feel like this might be the year of the real Christmas tree.
Aside from the tree itself, decorations could also see higher prices. An estimated 87% of Christmas decor comes from China, with lights among the most steeply tariffed items as high as 63%. Retailers like Home Depot, Walmart, and Lowe's are advertising early Black Friday deals, including holiday decor, meaning it's not all bah humbug for those hoping to spread some Christmas cheer on a budget this year. And to save, you could, of course, stick with last year's decor. And if you shattered too many ornaments and don't want to buy new ones, we've all been there, consider getting creative with DIY ornaments that can give you an excuse to spend some quality time with the family. And also, by the way, on lights, with electricity costs up more than 5% from last year, if you do have to buy new strings, consider energy-efficient ones or ones with timers that don't sap as much power. Back to you.
Good tips there. DIY ornaments, huh, Brian? Thank you.
It's Daniel Walla with what's making headlines over on Wall Street. Looks like JP Morgan is creeping into crypto.
NBC's Emily Lorsch joins us with that and other money news. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Hey, Savannah and Joe, good morning. A major move in digital finance. JP Morgan Chase is launching JPM Coin, a blockchain-based deposit token now available to institutional clients. The coin represents dollar deposits and lets users send and receive money in seconds and 24/7. It's part of a growing trend among global banks to make payments cheaper and quicker. JP Morgan says it plans to expand the service to more clients and currencies pending approval. And Meta is turning up the volume on Threads. Features to help podcasters spotlight their shows. Links will now have colorful designs and hosts can get a dedicated profile spot to promote episodes. With more than 400 million monthly users, Threads wants to become the go-to hub for podcast discussions as it looks to close the gap with its rival X. Finally, Labubu dolls were flying off the shelves in London. Pop Mart going all in on the treat yourself trend for China's Singles Day yesterday. Alibaba's AliExpress kicked off live stream sales of Pop Mart's collectibles, including Labubu, Crybaby, and Skull Panda dolls. UK Pop Mart sales jumped 1,500% in October compared to last year. While this live stream trend took off in China, brands like Zara and IKEA have also tried out the format, which uses influencers to offer special deals and drive sales. And speaking of Labubu, guys, I know that everyone is excited. There's going to be a massive Labubu for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I bet a lot of people are going to be lining up to check that out.
It sounds scary for it to be that large with those teeth. That's my feelings on it.
I'm sure it'll be kind and fluffy. All right. Thanks, Emily. Appreciate it. From Wall Street to Hollywood now, two of the biggest movie stars are leaning into artificial intelligence in a major way.
Yeah, they already have some of the most recognizable voices in the industry. Well, now those celebs are saying, all right, to see selling AI replications of their voices. NBC News Entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas is here with this story. Can you guess who it is about? Chloe, good morning.
Oh, I could name a name. It's Matthew McConaughey and Michael Caine. These are the two latest A-listers to embrace artificial intelligence, working with a tech company to make their voices heard in a groundbreaking new way.
What makes a voice iconic?
This morning, some of Hollywood's most recognizable names lending their voices to AI.
My name is Michael Caine. I am thrilled to announce that my voice and I are joining 11 Labs.
On Tuesday, AI company 11 Labs announcing actor Michael Caine will be among the voices added to its iconic marketplace. A new service where anyone can pay to use a celebrity's AI-generated voice in content, from commercials to audiobooks.
Con mi permiso, 11 Labs trabajó conmigo para traducir mi voz.
Matthew McConaughey, an 11 Labs investor, says he's using the tech himself to create a bilingual version of his voice to connect with Spanish-speaking fans in his weekly newsletter.
Hablemos de traducciones.
His AI-generated voice is not for sale. In addition to Michael Caine, 11 Labs even featuring AI-generated voices of late stars like Judy Garland.
Sometimes the road looks long.
And John Wayne.
Don't talk about doing the right thing, partner. Just do it.
I think it signals that actors believe that AI is coming to Hollywood, whether they want it to or not.
The deal coming amid a string of controversies on the use of AI and its potential to replace real artists. A couple of months ago, there was instant backlash over the AI-generated actress Tilly Norwood. Actors like Emily Blunt calling it really, really scary. Her creator claiming Tilly was not a replacement for a human being, but a creative work. And last year, Scarlett Johansson calling out OpenAI, saying its new voice assistant sounded eerily similar to her own voice. OpenAI denying they modeled the assistant after Johansson. But as some real actors voice concerns, others are embracing AI and letting their voices be heard.
Because technology is just the medium. This is humanity. Amplified.
A source close to Matthew McConaughey says that he's just testing out the technology for now. Representatives from Michael Caine did not respond to our request for comment, but in a statement provided by 11 Labs to Variety, the veteran actor said, "It's not about replacing voices. It's about amplifying them.
You're seeing this sort of tug and war right now among Hollywood people who are scared about like giving it too much power, but also recognizing it's inevitable.
And a way to monetize it.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Chloe.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Coming up, the witches of Wicked are back for good.
After the break, our own Chanel Jones heads across the pond to go one-on-one with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande at the premiere of the highly anticipated Wicked sequel. Coming to theaters in a little over a week. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with a sneak peek at the highly anticipated movie Wicked for Good. That is, of course, the second part of last year's blockbuster movie version of the beloved Broadway show.
Stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are back together on the big screen and touring the world promoting the film, which was produced by Universal Pictures. That's part of our parent company, NBC Universal. Today Show anchor Chanel Jones took a trip across the pond to London for an exclusive catch-up with the two witches.
Couldn't be happier.
It's the fantastical trip to Oz, transporting fans on a stunning musical adventure.
You've been traveling internationally promoting this project. How would you describe the reaction that you're getting?
The excitement feels real and genuine, but also quite deep.
Wicked for Good is the second and final movie chapter that's become a global sensation.
You can't resist this.
Who could?
You know who could.
And at the London premiere this week, Wicked fans were blown away by the gleaming Emerald City.
One thing is for sure, people are coming to see this Yellow Brick Road from all over the world just to get a touch of the magic.
In the new tale, the unlikely friendship between Elphaba, played by Cynthia Erivo, and Glinda, played by takes a twist.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. I just wanted to come and see you.
What do you think it is about Wicked that has really captured the hearts of people around the globe?
I think the central narrative, which is that friendship between the two women, between us. I think it's the notion that feeling or being different isn't a bad thing.
I feel like the characters, each of them, are kind of stepping up into who they want to be. How would you describe Act 2?
I think both Glinda and Elphaba are both experiencing this extreme loneliness, and they appear very different. You know, Elphaba is literally isolated, and Glinda has so many people saying that they love her and saying that they need her, and yet she's completely alone. No. No way. I'm obsessulated.
She literally pops the bubble. How important it was for us to see that growth on screen.
It was really important. For me, it was kind of making sure that person who's inside the bubble that we eventually get to pop is underneath the surface.
What was it like for you to watch her step into that?
It was really wonderful to watch, to see also the passion for the depth of who this character was, or the layers that sort of shown up.
Just look at me.
Not with your eyes, with theirs.
To be able to act with this one and to share a space and to be a scene partner with you was the greatest privilege of my professional life, let alone sing with her, the greatest singer in the entire world. I'm spoiled for life.
Since teaming up on Wicked, Cynthia and Ariana have cemented a deep bond on and off the screen.
This friendship that you guys have. I mean, I have colleagues and there's a, hey girl, hey, you know, and then there's a, oh, you're my sister, and you're gonna be my sister forever and ever. In fact, let's go get tattoos. First, can I see? I haven't seen them.
Which one? We have 100. We have too many.
Wait, together you have several?
Yes, these are the for goods.
Okay.
Yes, and our puppies are on
Our puppies are here.
Oh my goodness. So this is more than a hey girl, hey, let's get a tattoo.
Oh, yes. There were 3 different rounds.
It's a friendship that's grown even stronger since last year when the first Wicked film debuted.
You're green.
I am.
And that's also when Ariana and Cynthia surprised us at a special screening.
Congratulations. We watched the first movie, and I remember I hugged you, and I did the ugly cry. I think I was crying harder than you. I realized later, I've never seen a black woman fly on screen. It was the scene that I didn't know my soul needed. I thought, oh my goodness, she's like a superhero, and you did that.
Yeah, I did actually, and I think it was very overwhelming because I had felt that, and I was really proud of what we were able to do with this character with Elphaba, and to be able to take that on felt like not just, yeah, I get to sort of see my dreams come true.
I'm a public figure now. People expect me to fly. Be encouraging.
And now those dreams are even more vivid, heading back to Oz to finish what they started.
So it's made with a lot of love.
Yes.
We made these movies simultaneously, so our hearts and souls were in both of these movies entirely, and we're so glad to be able to bring you the entire journey now.
Wicked for Good comes out in theaters next Friday, November 21st. I think folks are getting excited.
I'm excited. I just sent a text in my family group chat. We're booking this for after Thanksgiving, right?
There you go. There you go. I think so many people are going to be booking tickets to see it before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving.
Green peacock.
Exactly. We're green with the tree. We're green with Wicked. We're just green all over the place here on Morning News Now. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.